Welcome back to the GCN Racing News Show. This week, Gianni Moscon is handed a 5-week ban by the UCI, and we're asking, is this enough? We look at the tours of Poland and Utah, the Vuelta Burgos, the European Road Championships, the Crescent Vargarda, and the conclusion of the Transcontinental and Northcape 4000. First up though, shall we talk about Gianni? The Italian was ousted from the Tour de France after lashing out at Elie Gesbert on stage 15, and after reviewing the evidence further, the UCI have handed him a 5-week ban from competition. The Italian Federation and Team Sky have both accepted the sanction, and there seems to be no further disciplinary action coming from the team. Now, under normal circumstances, you'd see this as just punishment, but Moscon's case is slightly different, isn't it? He was already given a short ban last year for using racist language towards Kevin Rader. He was then accused of deliberately causing Sebastian Reichenbach to crash last autumn at the Tre Valli Varese. That case was later dismissed, but then he went on to get disqualified for hanging onto his team car at the World Championships in Bergen in Norway. So, the aggressive behaviour at the Tour de France was the latest in a string of controversial incidents for the 24-year-old, which has led many to say that a 5-week ban from racing simply isn't enough. After all, he'll be back in time to represent Italy at this year's World Championships, so it's not as though he's going to be missing out on any major objectives. David Brailsford, the principal at Team Sky, has said that the team will give Moscon the support needed to control his anger, but does he deserve this final chance at the world's biggest team? We would like your opinions on this. There is a poll on the screen right now where you can tell us if the punishment was appropriate or not, but we would also like you to expand in the comments section down below. Basically, what would you have done if you were the UCI or Team Sky? Before you comment though, it might be worth thinking about the recent case of Jan Ullrich. Now, the Germans had a very torrid 10 days, firstly arrested in Mallorca for breaking into next door's garden and displaying aggressive behaviour, then arrested again last week in Germany for allegedly strangling a prostitute. Severe, inexcusable and very troubling behaviour that needs the appropriate punishment. Ullrich, though, is a man who is also clearly in need of some help to get his life back on track. Now, Moscon's actions over the last year, whilst clearly very different, also highlight the fact that along with a sanction, he also desperately needs both support and education in order to change. At 24, he's still young, so let's all hope that he gets it. Back to the racing itself now, but sticking with Team Sky for a few more moments. Their Polish champion Michal Kwiatkowski was dominant at his home tour last week. He took back-to-back stage wins on the uphill finishes of stage 4 and 5 and backed that up with a 3rd place on stage 6. However, he was put on the ropes slightly on the final stage when Mitchelton Scott Simon Yates attacked and went into the virtual race lead. And although Yates did do enough for the stage win, Kwiatkowski managed to hold on for the overall win by 15 seconds. Kwiatkowski will now head to the Vuelta, where incidentally we're also going to see Vincenzo Nibali competing. Good news that the Italian has recovered sufficiently from his crash on Alpe d'Huez back at the Tour de France. American riders almost completely dominated the 7-day Larry H. Miller Tour of Utah last week. TJ Van Garderen won the prologue with his team BMC taking a clean sweep of the podium that day. One American who thought he'd won a stage and lived out every pro cyclist's worst nightmare was Griffin Easter, who thought Christmas had come early. He crossed the line arms aloft in Cedar City on stage 1, only to realise there was still a lap to go. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to resurrect that win on the actual finish line, which was taken by Travis McCabe, who would also go on to win stage 3. Now, the only non-American to get a stage win over in Utah was the young Belgian Jasper Philipsen. He got the better of McCabe in a photo finish at the end of stage 4. Van Garderen would lose the leader's jersey on stage 2 though, after a superbly impressive ride from 23-year-old Sepp Kuss. He made a 52-kilometre solo breakaway and held on by 29 seconds to take both the stage win and the yellow jersey in the process in front of his Lotto NL Jumbo teammate Nilson Paulus. Now, that is the second year on the trot that Kuss has been in yellow, and this year he was on another level throughout the race. He went on not only to defend that yellow jersey to the finish, but also to win the final 2 stages. In fact, on the penultimate stage to Snowbird, Kuss averaged 354 watts and 193 beats per minute to also set the Strava record, which no doubt he was very pleased about. Kuss will now head to the Vuelta a España in Spain, which will be his maiden Grand Tour. There he will ride in support of George Bennett, but with his current form, a stage win for himself clearly isn't out of the question. However, it is his outstanding performance at the Tour of Utah that has earned Kuss this week's GCN Rider of the Week. The other warm-up race for the Vuelta a España is the Vuelta a Burgos. Recent winners there include Joaquim Rodriguez, Nairo Quintana, Mikel Landa and Alberto Contador. This year though, there was a new kid on the block. Ivan Ramiro Sosa. Now, if you're not familiar with that name already, then you will be soon, because Sosa is touted as the next Egan Bernal. His overall win came after he got the better of compatriot Miguel Angel Lopez on the final kilometre of the final stage, which finished at the top of Lagunas de Nela. And it means that he has now won his last 3 stage races in a row. Next up for him is the Tour de l'Avenir, where he could well follow in the footsteps of Bernal and Quintana. Frankly, it's quite hard to see him being beaten in that race. Now, a 20-year-old is almost certain to join the World Tour next year, with Trek Segafredo his rumoured destination. Bulls Dulmans continued their run of success up in Sweden. Their win in the team time trial at the Crescent Vargarda was their 3rd in a row. They finished 16 seconds in front of world champions Team Sunweb, although you do wonder how much of that was down to a lack of aero bottles, if this tweet from Elie Gesbert is anything to go by. A few days previous though, in the Women's European Time Trial Championships, Ellen van Dijk reigned supreme for the 3rd time in succession, taking the crown ahead of her compatriot Anna van der Breggen. Van Dijk then lent her spare skin suit to Jos van Emden for the men's event, as his luggage had been basically lost by EasyJet en route to Glasgow, something for which he was also seeming to blame Tesco's supermarket over on social media. In the end, Van Emden managed 8th on the day, but it was the Belgian Victor Campenaerts who successfully defended his crown, but by the narrowest of margins, just 0.63 of a second ahead of 2016 winner Jonathan Castroviejo. The men's road race was held under some fairly typical Glaswegian weather, i.e. rain, which did make for a particularly hard race. Pre-race favourite Peter Sagan was amongst the high-profile riders to abandon on the day. He cited the injuries that he is still carrying from the recent Tour de France. A strong 10-man breakaway forged clear inside the closing 50 kilometres, and it looked as though our question from last week as to whether or not cyclocross riders are about to dominate the road world was about to be answered with a resounding yes. Both Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel made that selection, but both would ultimately be pipped to the line by Matteo Trentin, a great comeback in fact from the Italian who fractured his spine at Paris-Roubaix in April of this year. And worth noting too, that Trentin also has a background in cyclocross. In fact, he was 16th at the 2005 European Junior Cyclocross Championships, just 3 places behind Tom Last.
I thought it was the top.
After what was a very tough day in the saddle though, a number of riders have the envious task of starting the 7-day Binkbank Tour today. Amongst them Jasper Stuyven, who shared this photo on Instagram. Apparently there wasn't a lot of room left in the hole with all of the bikes that they had to travel with, so they got to travel with theirs as hand luggage. After a close start, it was a convincing win for former elite road racing cyclist James Hayden at the Transcontinental race, covering the 3,800-kilometre journey from Belgium to Greece in just 8 days, 22 hours and 56 minutes. He was basically a whole day clear of his nearest rival, Matthew Faulkner, who passed several of the other race favourites in the final day as he covered the last 800 kilometres, barely even stopping to rest. The first woman to finish was Edie Harrison from the UK, who was also 46th overall, and the first pair to finish was the American bike messenger duo Charles Christensen and Nico de Portaga Cabrera, who took a rather direct and very gravelly route after the 4th checkpoint. At the time that we record this, 65 out of the 249 riders have completed the journey in what is a very, very tough event indeed. Before we finish for today, just time to say congratulations to Ian Walker. He held steady to become the first rider home at the Northcape 4000, almost 8 hours ahead of Alex Zavoral. Walker had time to stop and capture a few pictures and photos on the final stretch in the north of Norway, which looks absolutely stunning. Now, there's been a lot of transfer news this last week too, so make sure you tune into tomorrow's GCN show for all of that, where we'll also be talking about Christophe Allegaart's attempt at the Land's End, John O'Groats Land's End record, which he missed out on by just 16 minutes, despite being completely unsupported along the way. Next week on the show, we'll be bringing you the action from the Arctic Tour of Norway and also the Colorado Classic, both of which we are also covering live. If you would like to watch, then you just need to head to facebook.com/GCN Cycling. I very much hope to have your company for those races between Thursday and Sunday. In the meantime though, if you haven't already taken a look at this video, I can thoroughly recommend it. It's the top 7 doping excuses of all time, and they are pretty funny. Take a look just down here.